Namaskar, friends. In our previous video, we talked about the four inner powers: mind, intellect, memory, chitta, and ego. But today, I want us not just to understand them, but to feel them. Have you ever noticed that when you're alone, something inside you keeps talking continuously? Sometimes the mind says, "Let's do this." Then another voice says, "No, that's not right." Sometimes old memories arise and pull you away. And sometimes ego says, "My decision is final." Why does this happen? Do many people live within us? Or is this all the play of chitta, mind, intellect, and ego? Today, we're going to hear a story that won't just help you understand these four, it might transform your life. So come, let's travel beyond time. To a deep Himalayan cave, where an old sage sits in meditation. Before him kneels a young disciple who has served him for years. The disciple repeatedly asks, "Gurudev, why can't I meditate? Why does my mind wander? Sometimes anger arises, sometimes greed, sometimes intellect argues, and sometimes old memories disturb me. Who am I, and why does all this happen within me?" The sage smiles and softly says, "My son, to understand this, let me tell you a parable. The parable of the chariot. Imagine this body as a chariot. It's pulled by four horses, your senses. The reins controlling them, that's your mind. The one holding the reins, that's your intellect. And the master seated in the chariot, that's your soul. But the problem is, very often, ego jumps in and declares itself the master. And when ego takes the reins, the chariot loses direction. The sage continues, "These horses are strong. If you let them loose, they'll run wildly and fall into a pit. If you hold the reins too tightly, they'll stop moving altogether. Balance is essential." Just like that, our senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, keep pulling us. Sometimes toward taste, sometimes sight, sometimes pleasure. If the mind's reins are strong and the intellect is awake, the horses stay controlled. If the mind is weak and the intellect asleep, the horses run astray, and the chariot meets with disaster. The sage gives a simple example. Suppose you go to the market and see sweets. Your eyes send the image into the chitta. Mind says, "Wow! Let's eat!" Intellect says, "Wait, too much sugar will harm the body." But ego shouts, "Why shouldn't I eat? I have the right." If you listen to ego, intellect is suppressed. And you eat, even if it harms you. This is what happens inside us every day. The sage says, "My son, the real secret is that chitta, mind, intellect, and ego all live within you. They are distinct powers. You must recognize them, and then learn to master them. If you fail to master them, your life chariot will go off course. But if you move with them in harmony, they will take you toward bliss and truth." Thus begins the disciple's real journey. The Guru says, "Go, my son, into the forest. Meet these four within yourself. First, recognize who is your chitta, who is your mind, who is your intellect, and who is your ego. Only when you recognize them will you be able to control them." The disciple walks toward the forest. It is early morning. Birds chirp, and dew glistens on the grass. He thinks, "My Guru said to meet my four inner companions. But where will I find them? Will they appear as beings, or only as experiences?" Slowly he reaches a serene lake. The water is so clear that the sky reflects within it. He sits there, and suddenly hears a voice coming from the lake's surface. First character, Chitta. The ripples speak. "I am Chitta. My work is to store impressions and memories. Whatever you see, hear, or experience, I record within. Don't think I'm your enemy. I'm just a mirror, holding reflections of your experiences." The disciple asks, "But then why do old memories disturb my mind when I meditate?" Chitta smiles. "Memories are seeds. Once planted, they will sprout. If you plant good seeds, I'll reflect peace, love, and wisdom. If bad seeds, I'll show greed, fear, and anger. I only store. The fault lies not in me, but in your actions." The disciple understands. If he plants good impressions, his inner lake will stay pure. If bad, it will become muddy. Second character, mind. The disciple moves ahead. In the forest, he sees a monkey jumping restlessly from branch to branch. Suddenly the monkey speaks. I am mind. My nature is restless. I can't stay still. I jump from one thought to another, one desire to another. The disciple says, Mind, that's the trouble. Your restlessness doesn't let me stay steady. Why do you change so quickly? Mind laughs. Oh dear one, I'm only the messenger of desires. I react to whatever images Chit sends me. If Chit shows sweets, I crave sweets. If Chit shows peace, I crave meditation. I'm not solely to blame. You can control me through discipline and breath control. The disciple realizes. Mind is like a monkey. But even monkeys can be trained with practice and patience. Third character, intellect. He walks deeper. There sits a calm sage-like figure on a stone throne, holding a balanced scale. I am intellect, he says. My role is to reason, decide, and show right from wrong. When the mind is restless and Chit throws images, I decide whom to follow. I am your charioteer. The disciple asks. Then why do people still make wrong decisions if you are present? Intellect replies. When ego becomes too strong, it suppresses me. Then I fall silent. And the mind-Chit duo drives the chariot aimlessly. To sharpen me, study, reflect, question. The clearer the information I get, the more accurately I can guide you. The disciple understands. Intellect is the charioteer who must stay awake. Fourth character, ego. Further ahead, he sees a golden throne. On it sits a proud kingly figure with his chest puffed up. I am ego, the man says. I say I am. I give you strength and identity. Without me, you couldn't even say I am, the disciple says. But ego, because of you, people fight. You always claim you are right. Ego smiles. That's half the truth. I can be good or bad. If I say I'm a seeker, you progress. If I say I'm superior, others are wrong, you fall. I can be poison or nectar. It depends on how wisely you use me. The disciple understands. He says, Chit, you store impressions. Mind, you carry desires. Intellect, you decide. Ego, you give identity. When all of you work in service of the soul, life becomes beautiful. But when ego rules, everything falls apart. They smile and say, That's the truth. Now your next task is to master us, to keep us in balance. Only when we all listen to the soul will you become a true seeker. Practical application in life. The disciple feels enlightened. He begins to see how these four act in daily situations. Scene 1. The student. A boy is studying for exams. Books are open, but his phone lies beside him. Chit recalls. Last time you watched funny videos, it felt great. Mind says. Yes, let's watch a little, then study. Intellect says. Stop. Exams are near. Focus now. Ego says. I'm smart, I'll pass anyway. Whomever the boy listens to decides his success or failure. The disciple realizes. The same happens within him daily. Scene 2. The businessman. A merchant is about to invest money. He sees quick profit, but senses risk. Chit reminds. You lost last time by rushing. Mind says. But the profit is tempting. Intellect reasons. Check the facts. Ego boasts. I'm always right. If he listens to intellect, he'll stay safe. If to ego, he'll face loss. Scene 3. Relationship conflict. At home, a couple argues. Chit brings up old memories. Mind fans anger. Intellect advises patience. Ego insists. Why should I bend? If ego wins, the rift grows. If intellect wins, peace follows. Scene 4. Anger on the road. A man gets pushed accidentally. Chit recalls old humiliation. Mind roars for revenge. Intellect says, Wait, maybe it was an accident. Ego yells, How dare he? If he obeys ego, fights erupt. If intellect, peace prevails. Remembrance of the Guru. Through these insights, the disciple realizes the chariot of life stays balanced only when Chitta is pure, mind is controlled, intellect is awake, and ego is humble. He vows, I'll purify Chitta through service and good thoughts, discipline the mind through meditation, sharpen intellect through knowledge, and balance ego through humility. The Guru's final teaching. After completing his journey, the disciple returns to the Guru. Did you recognize them? The Guru asks. The disciple bows. Yes, Gurudev. I saw Chitta as a lake, mind as a monkey, intellect as a judge, and ego as a king. I understand now. Together they drive the chariot of life. The Guru speaks deeply. Son, listen carefully. Chitta is the seed. Sow good seeds, and your tree will bear sweet fruit. Mind is the wind. If guided right, it carries your boat safely. If wrong, it sinks it. Intellect is the lamp that lights your path. If extinguished, darkness rules. Ego is the sword. In righteous hands it protects, in arrogant hands it destroys. Remember, you are not any of these. Their true master is the soul. Until you realize the soul, ego will falsely rule. The path of practice. To purify Chitta, engage in good company, service, and noble thoughts. To control the mind, practice breathing and meditation. To awaken intellect, study, question, and listen to wisdom. To balance ego, practice humility and service. And above all, realize the soul. You are neither Chitta, mind, intellect, nor ego. You are the pure witness, the Atman. Self-realization. On hearing this, tears rolled down the disciple's eyes. He says, Gurudev, now I understand. Until now, I thought ego was the master. But the real master is the soul. I am only its servant. And these four are my instruments. The Guru blesses him. You are now a true seeker. You have conquered yourself. That is the greatest victory. Conquering the world is easy. Conquering oneself is rare. He who conquers himself is the real hero of life. Conclusion. The disciple bows and sits in deep meditation. No inner conflict remains. Chitta is calm. Mind steady. Intellect awake. Ego humble. And above them all, the light of the soul shines brightly. Final message to listeners. Dear friends, this story is not only of the disciple, it's our story too. Every day within us, Chitta, mind, intellect, and ego act. Sometimes memories pull us, sometimes desires mislead us, sometimes ego fights, and sometimes intellect guides. If we can recognize these inner forces and learn to balance them, life will flow smoothly. Remember this. Purify the Chitta. Control the mind. Awaken the intellect. Humble the ego. And above all, realize the soul. That is the real secret of life. That is the path to peace. He who conquers himself is the true victor. My friends, I hope this story touched your heart. If you like this journey, do share it further, so others too may understand their own Chitta, mind, intellect, and ego, and bring harmony into their lives. And yes, subscribe to stay connected for more inspirational stories and teachings. Your support and blessings are our true strength. Thank you. We shall meet again on another journey. Har Har Mahadev. Jai Shri Ram.